Hi, welcome to WGSN-DB, Going Solo. This is a Senior Citizens Forum. I'm your host, Janice Wood, and the Senior Citizens Forum is being sponsored by Benefits for You 2 Insurance Services, where they specialize in Medicare products like Medicare Supplemental, Medicare Advantage plans, and prescription drug plans. But today, I'm back with my buddy, Dr. Amber Voitenko. If you've watched any of my other shows, Amber has been on several times. I've always gotten great feedback about Amber being on. I have a personal friend who loves you. But she lives outside Yosemite, so it's not convenient. Okay, but she loves it when you're on the show. Okay. Also, this last year, I've been able to work with a lot of Amber's patients as becoming my clients for Medicare. And every one of them say the same thing. We love Dr. Amber. We love coming in for the staff. Okay?
So nice, yes.
Dr. Amber has been in chiropractic for,
23 years.
23, going on 24 years. Very good.
Yes.
Okay. And so she really knows what she's talking about, okay? And if you watched one of our shows last year that we did with Dr. Amber, we talk about chiropractors aren't the same as they used to be.
That's right.
Okay? So, but today, and I'm busy with my mobile equipment here, we're going to talk about mobile devices. But before we get into it, I have some fun things I want to show you, okay? Anybody remember Dick Tracy? Dick Tracy came out in 1931.
Wow.
I think in the Chicago Tribune it became internationally syndicated.
Wow.
But look at Dick Tracy. He's talking into his arm. Hey!
Apple Watch.
Or other types of watches.
Or other types, excuse me. Yes.
Okay. Other types of watches. And I thought this was just fun. You see him all over tucking into his watches. It's just really fun.
Technology.
Technology is really great. Okay. Of course, this is not doing what I want. Okay. Well, any of you ever watched the show Star Trek?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I lost it. Excuse me. Let's see. Let me see if I can find this.
Yeah.
It's right here. Tab 1, private. Oh my goodness. Well, I can't find it. Okay. Things happen with technology.
Yes.
You talked with Star Trek. If you watch the original Star Trek, you're going to find James T. Kirk, okay?
Right.
With his flip phone.
Oh, that's right.
Okay. And everybody knows Star Trek.
Yep.
I remember 50-some years ago when I was pregnant, coming home from work and watching Star Trek.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, did any of you ever watch Get Smart?
Yeah.
With Maxwell Smart,
That's
Don
right.
Adams. Okay. And what did he use to talk into? His shoe.
Yes. Like his shoe. Yes.
And that we're talking 1960s.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
70s. I mean, Star Trek also started in the 1960s.
Yeah.
I remember when I was a dental assistant many years ago, there was one of the ladies that was one of the stars in the Star Trek came into the dental office, and she talked about all these things in the future.
Oh, that's so cool.
Well, okay, it was really cool, okay? But the future's now.
Right.
And our bodies aren't used to all these mobile devices.
Right.
Okay? Our bodies haven't evolved like our technology.
Correct.
Okay? She's saying correct.
Yes.
So Dr. Amber is going to tell us what these mobile devices are doing to our skeletal system or our muscular skeletal system and how it's affecting our posture, which can affect how we breathe. It can affect our stomach.
Right.
It can affect your neck, and I know about the neck pain, okay, and it's from the mobile device.
That's right. So as far as phones go, I mean, just on a day-to-day looking at patients that are in our waiting room, which aren't for long in chiropractic, but even that small amount of time, instead of them holding their phones up like this for proper posture, right? You see a lot of people doing this. And I want to show you from the side. So, you don't see a lot of people holding their mobile devices like this, right? They look like this.
Right.
So when they're in that flexion type position, what's happening is their head goes forward. They put a lot of pressure on that lower neck, upper back, which controls your lungs, your bronchioles, your digestive tract, your stomach. So that being said, a lot of times posturally, when your body is doing this type of position all the time, you're shutting those systems down. And you guys probably know this, and I was talking about it with Janice, that what ends up happening is when people are in this, I call it going back in fetal position, but with their mobile devices, they're like this. It's really hard to even breathe in this position.
So if I'm looking at this, not my phone,
right,
and I'm like this, does this change my posture?
Correct.
So if I go like this,
right,
my posture just changed.
That's right. But people are on their phones so much or tablets, they don't want to hold them up because their arms get tired. And sometimes people do it because their necks hurt or back hurts. And then they're like, Dr. Amber, my arms are going numb, my hands are going numb, which is a whole nother thing. In regards to the nervous system in the neck. So the lower part of your neck control your shoulders, elbows, hands, wrists. So when you are in a certain position for a long time, if it's in improper posture, you're going to cut off that communication to the nervous system.
So if my arms start hurting.
Correct.
Down
or you get
this
numbness,
way.
Yes, or numbness tingling. Sometimes people will talk about their thumbs and hands getting numb. They have numbness tingling, or they get weak. And a lot of times we actually have to show them what's going on with their neck through range of motion and posture, especially with x-ray. So x-ray is actually where we measure this. So though we visually look at a patient, do range of motion, do our neurological tests, when we look at x-ray, we do x-ray standing. So your actual posture is apparent on the x-ray. You're not laying on a bed like some of the x-ray departments do. Here at my clinic, when I take x-rays, we're doing it standing. So that being said, you actually have the weight-bearing effects. So you can do measurements on posture, curvatures, and disc spaces so as to know why someone's having these nerve problems, or why they can't breathe, or why they can't digest properly.
And we don't think about that.
No, of course not. Yeah, because you're thinking more about my shoulders are tight, my neck is tight, right? I'm getting headaches. Or I'm going to bring this up. Hopefully you're okay with this. Vertigo, dizziness, this kind of thing.
Yes.
It's very common because of technology now and the way we are posturally that affects our nerves and balance, our vestibular system. So there's that can come into play too. In my last 15 years of practice, I've dealt with a lot of patients, both young and old, dealing with vertigo, dizziness, balance issues.
I can understand because I have grandchildren, okay? And I know one of my grandchildren, he's 12 years old, all right? And he's always playing games.
Right.
He's a gamer, okay? And it's constantly.
Right.
So right now, just doing that, my shoulders went forward.
Right, you're rounded forward.
I rounded it. I could feel my whole back moving.
And she knows this. Probably if she looks even what her grandson's sitting on, it's usually a couch or some kind of chair. Yes, it's not ergonomic at all. And so then it's really like this, really gaming. It's not this. So now they make amazing gaming chairs that you could purchase.
Right.
But it's expensive, so.
Yeah, but I think it's important because even if you spend a lot of time at a computer, okay, that gaming chair probably is going to make a difference in how your skeletal system is.
Totally. So some of the things that I tell or talk to patients about and educate, same with my other associate doctor, we talk about, when you're at your desktop or a laptop, there are different things that we do to make sure that your shoulders are relaxed. Your arms with your keyboard are at 90 degrees, or sometimes a little bit less than that, a little bit down from 90 degrees, and your wrists are relaxed, because otherwise what happens is exactly what we're all talking about. You end up getting like this, and that's not going to do anything good for your neck and upper back and all the muscles, right? Yeah. Including, like we're talking about, the organs, your lungs, your bronchioles, your small and large intestine, your stomach, all of that.
Right. I mean, it's just real important, and we don't pay attention to it.
Right.
And I thought this would be a good subject for the show because I
Yes.
saw you talk about this probably a year ago, and I went, oh my God, I have her come on and do this, okay? Because it's how quickly your body changes from my picking up my iPad
Yes.
to sitting up straight.
To
all
then
of a sudden,
hunch.
I'm crunched.
Right. And you guys can observe this now that we're talking about it, you're going to see it everywhere. I mean, you see it in kids so I observed this the other day. I was in a shopping center, Target. Anyway, I'm in there and this young kid is in the seat in the front. And they, you know how every child has a device now,
right.
And the child, though their systems are still forming and developing, but the child was like this, looking at the device, and I thought, oh gosh, because that's years of what occurs, right? And that's why we're seeing more postural problems and neurological problems that are related to our devices.
I find that really interesting because I'm in an age in my lifetime where I remember as a child, and none of this was around at that time.
Right.
I used to go, look at that old lady. She's all hunched over and crunched, and why is she being that way?
Right.
Okay. And now I'm in that age group.
Right.
And of course, I've exercised,
Right.
which helps the skeletal system.
Absolutely helps strengthen.
It helps strengthen. But if I didn't exercise, I'm going to be more hunched over.
For sure. And, I attribute back in the day a lot of that to do with women reading, like just speaking specifically of women that get that way. You're reading, you're hunched over, doing the cooking, the cleaning, you're always in this flexion position. So just to bring this up with the phones, because we're in this fetal flexion position, our hip flexors, which actually have to do with our legs going through our pelvis, attach to your low back and your diaphragm. So not only do you have the neck component, which we're talking a lot about, and upper back, you also have your lower back and hip flexors that are involved.
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
Correct. Right. Yeah. So when you have muscles that go to your diaphragm and you're in flexion, you're shutting your diaphragm down, makes it hard to breathe, but your esophagus goes through that diaphragm so hard with digestion as well. So they'll say, I have gas, bloating, acid reflux, heartburn. A lot of times it's because they're on their computers or on their phones, or they read a lot, but it's that flexion.
Or reading a lot. Or in my day, before computers, before computers were available to the
masses,
right? We sat at typewriters.
Oh, that's true too. So that's also was an ergonomic situation for sure. Yes, even carpal tunnel existed then. Yep.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and you can get carpal tunnel. My mother was a manicurist, and I remember her having carpal tunnel.
Anything you're using your hands a lot, and you're seated in flexion because it's taking that communication off that lower neck, upper back, which affects your wrist and hands. So besides overusage, it's also here.
Okay. Now, the other place that people use their iPhones or their smartphones, or their pads, is in bed.
Correct.
And I lay in bed sometimes, I'm going, what am I doing?
I have to say, of course, obviously, I do this as well. To talk about that, bring that to the table. It's not, period, flat out, it's not good for your body. There's no way around that, except for if you actually want to do specific things. So one of the things that I've done and I've helped my patients do, they actually, remember back in the day, they had those pillows with the arms? Right. So you can actually get large ones that you can prop yourself in bed. Of course, then your legs are out, or those that can still do Indian style. But the point is you're sitting straight. Then getting yourself literally one of those tables that has the ability to have your either phone on something, right? Like a tripod of some sort, or your computer, there's a lot involved with that no one really wants to do when they're laying in bed trying to go to sleep.
Go to sleep, because I know I roll over to my side because the blanket gets in the way.
Right, totally. So then you're like this. Yeah. The next thing you know, your arm's going numb,
and then
your head hurts. Yes, your thumbs, fingers. Totally. So truth be told, obviously the ergonomics of that are not correct, and there's no good way besides what I'm describing, right? So
yeah, I know. But these things have taken over our lives.
Completely.
They're in our cars.
Completely. It's nonstop.
But we have to remember that our bodies haven't evolved as fast as technology has evolved.
And to be honest, because of the way our system is built, I don't really know that our bodies will ever really catch up with the postural damage. So point of us talking about this is, like she said, exercise, get aligned, go to your chiropractor. If you do have a problem, see your physical therapist, those things. And do your stretching. Do the things that are going to help so your body at least doesn't break down to the degree it could and as fast as it could. So
yeah, because you probably don't even realize that you are breaking down your body by using this. Correct. And we're not even talking about what it does to the eyes.
Correct.
Right.
Or, not to go out on a limb, we're not even talking about what it does to our body at a cellular level due to what our phones and computers use as far as energy, which is a totally different topic.
It's a different topic, but it still affects the body.
Us, yes, correct.
I mean, even though I may use a Bluetooth device, okay, I'm still getting the stuff.
Correct. Right.
What
is it? You're getting that energy. So
I'm getting that. Negative, that is negative for your body.
Correct. It's hard on your body cellularly. Yeah. So there is that, that aspect of trying to protect ourselves. So there's a lot of different research out there now. And you can go looking and you can find things that they basically suggest to use for protection to the degree that we can have that protection. But yes. But the posture and the musculoskeletal, meaning the skeleton system with your muscles and the neurological components of all this with posture, for sure. 100% we could prevent it from being worse by doing certain things.
Right.
Have you ever looked at your screen time on your phone?
I'm totally looking at it.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
I'm looking at the screen time now.
Yes,
okay.
yeah. So, on the devices, it actually tells you, like how long you've used your cell phone for the week or the day.
Right. Yeah.
I only bring that up because it's something good for parents to look at, but even for an individual to go, how long was I on the phone? Because then you guys can look and go, how long was I in this position? Right?
And I have a girlfriend.
Yes.
And she and I get on the phone, and 5 hours later,
right,
without exaggeration.
I love that, yes.
Okay. We're still talking, and we still have stuff to talk about.
Absolutely.
Okay. And it happens.
Yeah.
It just happens.
Of course.
And that screen time, especially for your children who are gamers, okay?
Yes, grandchildren, children.
Right, children. It's really, you should be watching what they're doing. I know.
Absolutely.
I know when you're 10 years old, you don't think about what you're going to be like at 80 years old.
No way.
Okay?
Right, correct. And so if somebody is not guiding you when you're younger to say, hey, look, this can affect you with your muscles, your nerves, your posture.
Okay.
Yep, you're right. So it needs to be we need to educate our grandkids, our kids on this information so as to not have that damage later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also we need to educate ourselves.
Right.
To what all this modern technology, even though it's fantastic. Yes. I know Amber's office uses it. We come in, the first thing you see is her technology is here. Yes. You can't even go to Amber. I get a text message from her office saying,
that's right,
you have an appointment today.
Everything's technology.
Everything is technology.
Yep.
It is part of our lives, but we want to make sure we're using these modern technologies, not that it's going to hinder us, but to help us.
Yeah. Okay? And we always come down to saying these things, and I know Janice would agree. Exercise, getting out there, walking, getting out in nature, really trying to get out and not being inside as much does help with this.
It does help.
Yes.
But right now, we have to take a break because we got to hear from our sponsor.
Yay.
Yeah. And when we come back, we're going to talk about different types of treatment, like walking and getting back to nature is one. We're also going to talk about, more about how to hold those devices correctly.
Perfect.
And we'll be back. Okay.
Sounds good.
So this is WGSN-DB going solo. This is the Senior Citizens Forum.
At Benefits for You Too Insurance Services, we believe knowledge is power when it comes to selecting the correct healthcare and Medicare insurance. Please contact us at healthcare options at benefitsforyou2.com or call us at 310-245-0332.
Welcome back to WGSN-DB, Going Solo, and this is the Senior Citizens Forum, and I'm back here with my friend and buddy, Dr. Amber Voitenko.
Awesome.
And we're talking about mobile devices and how it affects our bodies. And if you were on earlier, we talked about Dick Tracy.
Yes.
The original Star Trek and even the other Star Treks.
Flip phone.
And of course, I have to talk about Maxwell Smart.
Yes.
If you don't know who that is, look it up, because he used to talk into his shoe.
That's right.
And I don't know why that hasn't come up yet. When we've been talking.
That one didn't take.
But those shows were, Dick Tracy was from 1931 on, and Maxwell Smart and Star Trek started in the mid-60s.
Yeah.
1960s.
Yeah,
okay?
awesome.
But we were also talking about how this wonderful device,
Yes.
I'm sitting up straight right now.
Right.
Watch my posture change.
Yes.
and how it affects everyone.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So yeah, so I mean, speaking on this with the devices, right? We had spoke earlier about the posture and how it affects us, but I've got a great story of a patient that I could talk about. Yes. So here's the thing. We actually here at our clinic, we do get a lot of young people that come in. Mm-hmm. So I will say this first, because the story I have is a little bit different, but we have a lot of younger individuals that come in their 20s, early 30s, and they talk about having tension. Mm-hmm. They talk about having headaches. They talk about feeling like they can't breathe, they can't get a deep breath in. Some of them might even go into the fact that they have anxiety. It really affects them. They get anxious about it, right? And what it comes down to is when we're sitting in front of our computers, our laptops, our phones, the posture that we're in is this rolled shoulders, forward head carriage type posture. And so many times chiropractically, we're actually performing adjustments to help with posture, to bring the shoulders back, the forward head carriage back. And a lot of times, depending on x-ray and exam, we're actually helping them to correct curvatures in their spine. So as to then, when they're on their desktops, laptops, their phones, they're not in this, or they may be in that postural position, but that's not actually what their spine is doing, so they can recover better. So Janice was asking me, what do you actually do to help people with these postural problems? So there are different chiropractic techniques, and we also do different therapies, stretches, exercise, and it actually has to do with the patient's pre-existing history, the traumas, accidents, injuries that they might have been in, and postural repetitive motion. Mm-hmm. Like, you get a swimmer in here who's doing the same flip turns. You get people who are gymnasts, runners, or who work out. Mm-hmm. And so those then allow the chiropractor to then go, okay, what do we need to actually help this patient with to improve posture so our technology that we haven't caught up with yet doesn't affect us so poorly? So we do get a lot of that. One of my patients, actually of two, same kind of situation, came in where it was almost as though they would have like hiccups. So they would have, and I would even describe it as more like a spasm. So anyway, though one of my patients out of the two did not come in for that problem, they came in with neck tension, headache, shoulder tension. Okay, so we looked at the person's posture and whatnot. But the reason I bring this up is through exercises and doing different things to help with posture and curvature. This individual came to me and said, "You won't believe it, Dr. Amber. I don't have that hiccuping, that tension spasm," which most likely was the person's diaphragm. Okay. Because we showed them hip flexor stretches. We performed chiropractic adjustments, and this was probably after like 15 adjustments, maybe 18, somewhere between there. And can you imagine, like, this is something that someone normally had that didn't necessarily even think that it was a problem, but that improved. Isn't that amazing? So chiropractic can help with those postural problems. So just to preface, this person did have rolled shoulders, forward head carriage, was on their phone and computer a ton. So anyway, just to kind of give you guys that, like there's things that you might not even know are related to the fact that this technology is affecting your posture so poorly that then we brought up digestion, but there's other things that could be going on that you might not even know are related.
Right.
Like the spasm and hiccuping in the diaphragm area.
Because you don't think about that using your phone or an iPad,
right,
or sitting at your computer,
right.
Okay, it's going to affect your diaphragm.
No one would. And that's the number one thing besides what we were talking about earlier that shuts down.
Right.
And again, a lot of times the posture due to technology with computers and phones and tablets, because they're going in that fetal position, they're shutting down that diaphragm, which is shutting down their digestive tract. So they'll come into the chiropractor, besides having, musculoskeletal pain or discomfort, tension, tightness, they'll have these other issues. Bloating, gas, acid reflux, super important.
But there's no way you're going to think that that's from my phone.
No.
My lifeline to the world.
That's right. And being like this for even 20 minutes a day is hard on the body, let alone hours,
and
right?
that's something I didn't look up. I should have looked up. Is that what's the average amount of time somebody spends on
their phone? Well, usually, not because I've done any research on this, but just my own kids, it's hours. It's a lot of time. And I know sometimes our phones are running even when we're not on them. So I was going to bring that up because I was talking about your screen time that you can look up on your phones. So sometimes your phone's going and you're not even on it. But I can tell you, forever we told people in front of a computer, you should get up every 30 minutes to an hour and a half to get up, high knee march, do some stretchings, do doorway stretches to open up your pecs, to open up your
just going like that.
Exactly. And
or even going like
exactly this and that. And there's exercises I give people that don't necessarily have a doorway, whatnot, where you're actually doing rotations. I have this whole thing that I do, which also helps with breathing and posture. So even though we were doing that with the computers, the laptops, we also have to do that with phones. So if you think you're on your phone for an hour, scrolling is what some people call it. Going through your TikTok, Instagram, whatever you're doing. Next thing you know, you all have experienced this. You look at your phone and go, oh my gosh, I've been on it an hour, 2 hours.
I've seen people on their phone and at the same time they're Googling something.
Correct.
Okay.
Right.
So they're multitasking on the phone or you're
because you asked me this, and I think this is important. Like, what are some things that we could give as tips for posture? So tripods, they sell these cool tripods. And I only say this because then at least you can, like if you're sitting somewhere and you have something in front of you that you can use, you could put your tripod and then have your phone in front of you so you're not in this flexion forward position. For those of you that might travel, I forget the brand right now, but believe it or not, my office manager got me onto this. It's brilliant. It's a little plastic device that you open up and it puts your phone on, just like the tripods do, but it clips to the tray of your seat when you fly.
Right.
And there's other things that you can clip to if you're taking a train or something like that, but you clip it. And then that way, when you're watching it, you're up here instead of being on your tray looking. It's so bad for your back and your neck.
Bad.
I know.
And the seats are uncomfortable to begin with.
Right? So I thought those are two good things that at least you could purchase for very inexpensive to help you with your posture and your phone.
That's a great idea. I know the other day I was talking to a friend and I was telling you earlier that we get on for hours and hours.
Totally, I know this.
And somebody had given me a little thing
like something to hold it.
Hold it. And I said, wait a second, I can't do this anymore. Let me try this thing that's here.
Yes.
I went, this is great. Because we were FaceTiming. Okay.
Sure,
okay,
yes.
Right. It's like Skyping if you're using Skype. Okay. And it was like, great. I wasn't holding the phone.
Correct. And it is better because then you're not like in one position,
Yeah, because
for sure. Totally. I will say this is funny. They came out with this thing my daughter won it in middle school, and she's now a senior, so it was a long time ago. But it had like foam on it, so it was comfortable on your shoulders, and it was bendable, and it came out in front of you and held your phone. So you literally had it on your shoulders, but it was light. And then you couldn't do it with a tablet; it was too heavy. But a cell phone you could, and then you could walk around, which could be a hazard. So I don't suggest that. But people,
Yes. Okay, sorry.
That's okay. So you could hold the phone there. So if you're sitting, you could just have it right there.
What a great idea.
No, really, it's a great and I think actually they still sell those. So I don't have it I actually might have it, oddly. Anyway. I don't use it often because I'm not on, I know my best friend and I get on the phone too, but I'm on speaker and we're not FaceTiming or Skyping.
Right.
Yeah. But that being said, that could be a suggestion for sure.
Right, because I know when I'm on a plane, you're always like this. Yeah. I'm uncomfortable. I have this, I call it the half donut around your neck.
Just to protect
and you're like this.
Yeah, totally. It's not a good position.
It's terrible.
Yeah. Now, with a tablet, probably that's the only choice. But if you did have your phone, you could look into this little gizmo that because you would love it. Now, there's also, if you have to wear glasses and things like that, it could be inconvenient. But anyway, it's something to think about. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just something to improve your posture because, believe it or not, your skeletal system affects your whole body.
Yes.
It's like a house. If the foundation isn't good,
right,
the rest of it is forget it.
Correct. And we've already done a talk on arthritis, but I do want to mention that postural problems, which is what we're talking about, and devices that cause those problems, does lead to mechanical arthritis, which is called osteoarthritis. That's not genetic, it's mechanical. Right. So just to throw those 2 cents in so you guys can understand this is over long term that it affects you. So, yeah.
Anyway. So that, just normally you're going to get arthritis from normal use, but if you already have bad posture because of, I'm going to call it modern technology, okay?
Right.
Our devices that we use, okay? That's on top of what our bodies already get as they wear out.
Correct. So, and, to prevent that from becoming a situation, that's, obviously I'm a doctor of chiropractic. That is one thing that you can put into your healthcare is getting adjusted because we help with posture. And then when you're doing your exercises and stretching, you're actually then building on a good foundation to lessen those effects. Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. So if you're watching us, make sure you're standing up straight. Please stand up and move around.
Yes, exactly.
We would appreciate you doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
And Dr. Amber's given us some advices on, what to hold. I mean, actually this is my phone.
Yes.
That we're recording on. It's on a tripod.
Yes, it is. Okay. So it's right where we need it to be.
But you can buy desk tripods.
Yep.
Just like she was saying.
Yep.
I like some of the things. I know some for the phone on some airplanes, there's little places.
Yeah, they have those, right. But most airlines, just because I do a lot of travel as well, don't have them. So that little device I was talking about, it's plastic, it opens up for your phone, and it has a clip to clip it. So you guys would enjoy that, yeah.
So, I mean,
doing stretches, doorway stretches, doing exercise with a trainer or going to the gym to help strengthen your system so that it's not weak and broken down. So, yep.
Right. Even now, I've noticed that there's apps for exercising.
Oh, yeah. There's so many.
I mean, there's so many different things that you can do out there that to counter the destruction that we're doing to our bodies.
So really, we don't have an excuse.
Yeah, you don't have an excuse, but this is just to give you an idea of what's happening. And if you didn't realize that these wonderful mobile devices
are affecting you.
Are affecting us. And they are part of our lives.
Of course.
I mean, and I had somebody the other day say to me, well, I still don't have a knife. I still do not have one of those phones. I still don't do that. And I'm going, if it works for you, but for most of us, that doesn't work.
That's right. I mean, I know some of my family members have flip phones still.
Yeah, well,
but still, you still have to look at that to see what's going on. You might not be watching things and such, but
long as they're getting what they need, that's all.
Exactly.
But even nowadays, we're talking about medical. I mean, I can get all my medical information right on my phone.
Totally. Everybody uses their phone for everything. Agreed.
There isn't
it's a
much
smartphone.
not to.
Yes.
And you can use your smartphone if you got to have it, okay,
Yes.
for exercising too.
Absolutely.
Now, I don't go to my trainer.
Yes.
I
You do Zoom, right?
I Zoom. He
so
and I
awesome.
Zoom or we FaceTime.
Right. That makes sense.
And there's a way to do that. So
Yeah, which is fantastic.
There's just so many different ways.
Right. And just to tell you guys too, because I like to give people information and how to do the stretches, how to do exercises. We do have that on our YouTube channel. So we have taken our time to show stretches and exercises that have to do with certain conditions. So of course, you guys could jump on that. I mean, there is a lot of free things that you can do to you know, put in your regimen. Yeah.
So if you're watching this and you're not in Dr. Amber's area, because she's located in Tustin,
Yep.
California, or you also know it's called Orange County.
Yes.
Which everybody in the world knows Orange County, California.
That's right.
Right. You can find these exercises. I'm going to have the information posted on here so you know how to get a hold of Dr. Amber, how to find her on
Perfect.
YouTube.
Yep.
So you'll be able to find all that information. And there'll also be some information that I have on there that if anybody wanted to talk with me.
Yes,
Now,
awesome.
one of the things I'm starting to do is, if you have any comments to make, please, if you're watching us on Facebook, YouTube, or any place else, if there's a place for comments, we would love to have the
Yes.
comment. And I mean, I was talking to someone earlier talking about preparing for the show and talking about Dick Tracy, and she said, "Oh, I remember Perry Mason."
Oh, yes.
I said, "What is Perry Mason?" She goes, "Well, not Perry Mason himself, but somebody who worked for him who had a phone in their car."
Oh, yeah, like a car phone.
A car
wow.
phone.
Right, yes.
And that was before car phones,
Yes,
okay?
those huge
So,
things.
I mean, so if you have a show that you can
relate
remember,
to.
that you can relate, we would love to have the
Yes.
comment on it, because we've had more fun
Yes.
just talking about this different sci-fi
exactly
type
the future which we're now living.
which we're now living in.
My family's, we call, you all know this, Trekkies. Anyways, my family always watch Star Trek, and we have not found how we can beam ourselves places yet, but hopefully.
But it will happen.
Yes.
It's going to happen.
I'm not sure what that's going to do to our cellular body and musculoskeletal system and nervous system, but
Will I land up in some other universe?
Yeah, exactly. Pieces, yeah.
But just remember, I hope you got something out of this today about, how important your skeletal system is
Yes,
in your
absolutely.
body. I mean, it's bad enough we have to worry about osteoporosis. We have to worry about arthritis. It all affects the skeletal system.
Correct.
Plus, who knows how many other things.
Right.
And then to add on what our mobile devices do for us.
Right.
So this has been a lot of fun,
Yes,
as always.
thank you. Yes,
I know
as
I want to
usual.
come back. I have another subject I want to discuss with you.
Yay.
Yay. Okay. And this is, thank you for watching us today. We really appreciate it. This is WGSN-DB, Going Solo, Senior Citizens Forum. Bye.
Bye.